Apple fritters are a super simple breakfast or dessert item that don't really require any pre-planning. That is, rise or resting times that so many other types of doughs require. So let's see how easy it really is. I'm starting with a food scale and a medium-sized bowl. I always use a food scale when I need precise ingredient amounts. Dirtying up these volume measuring cups is just never worth it in my opinion. So into that bowl, I'm adding 120 grams or 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 50 grams or a quarter cup of white sugar, 5 grams or 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and 3 grams or a half teaspoon of kosher salt. I'm doing a little dash of ground cinnamon, maybe a half teaspoon, and also a few seconds worth of grated nutmeg if you have that. I'll whisk all those dry ingredients together just to incorporate them, and then I'll add the wet, which is 60 milliliters or a quarter cup of whole milk, 1 egg, cracked, and a couple teaspoons of vanilla extract. Now just whisk all that to combine. Just make sure you don't overmix it. Just like pancake batter or anything with all-purpose flour, you can overmix this and develop the gluten too much. So you're just looking for an even consistency like this. And then to make this an apple fritter, we're going to use 1 Granny Smith apple. I just think these are the best kind to use for any type of cooked apple. They just have a hint more tartness to them, which really complements most of the sweet dishes that they're a part of. So I'm peeling that and then cutting the quarters off the core and tossing that. And then I like to cut these into a pretty small dice. I personally don't want huge bites of apple in my apple fritters, so I think these might be around 1/2-inch cubes or something. I add most of those into the batter and just mix around to make sure I'm not oversaturating it with apple. I held back like a small handful of apple, but it probably would have been fine to add that too. And now the way to cook these is to deep fry them. All you need is a wide and deep pot, so something like a Dutch oven or in my case a wok. And I have this canola oil that I've written sweet on because I've only used it for sweet recipes. I keep my savory reusable oil separate from this. You don't need too much of this, just enough to make sure the fritters can float. And I'm adding my candy thermometer to make sure I get an accurate temperature. I want to fry these at 350 Fahrenheit, so I want this to get up to around 375 before I start adding stuff. You always need to give your oil room to drop down to the temperature that you actually want it frying at. And when it's there, I'm going to grab a quarter cup measuring cup. You can really make these any size you want. This is just what I want.
Oh, Mr. No Measuring Cups. I just mean for like measuring ingredients. Like instead of dirtying up extra dishes, you can just weigh things out. Sounds like a load of hypocrisy to me. You have to scoop the batter out with some utensil, so that point doesn't apply here. Just scoop it out with your magic scale. You're not making sense. Will your scale fix the leaky faucet? No. Will your scale solve world wars? Will your scale fix my marriage? You're not even married, dude. Exactly!
I'll carefully hold this over the oil and then use a spatula to scrape all of it out. And as I went along, I found it was better to spread the batter laterally into the oil as opposed to just dumping it all into one clump. It was harder to cook it through that way. But not the end of the world. You can fit 2 or 3 of these at a time. I use a spider to make sure that they're separate and then flip them every time I need to, which is about every 30 seconds. You just want to try to get even browning on the top and the bottom by the time the middle is cooked through. These fluctuated as the weight of my fritters and the temperature of my oil fluctuated, but generally they took about 5 minutes total to be done. I also could have added a little more oil because the bottoms of my fritters were touching the bottom of the pan. And like I said, you want them to float so they don't get these little burn marks on them, but it's okay. You can use a thermometer to really check the inside if you want to be super accurate. They're pretty cooked through at about 175 Fahrenheit, so you can look for that temperature or higher. And once your fritters are done, they're best kept on a wire rack so they stay crispy. Even better if you stick them in your oven at its lowest setting while you make the glaze. And for that, I'm just going to sift in 130 grams or a cup of powdered sugar. To that, I'll add a tiny squeeze of lemon, maybe a half teaspoon or 2 grams. It really helps cut through the sweetness. A small pinch of salt and a small splash of vanilla extract. Then you're just going to add small splashes of whole milk until you get the consistency you want. And I want this to be a little thicker than a donut glaze, but not super thick like something I put on my king cake. So just add little splash by little splash of milk and whisk until you see what you want. For reference, this is what I ended up with. It's enough to stream off the whisk, but it's not super watery. I just like to grab a spoon and slowly drizzle this over the warm fritters. It'll melt a bit, but it'll kind of harden as both things cool down. And that's it, just a simple deep fried apple fritter. I like them kind of small like this so they're easier to portion out, but you could definitely go bigger like you'd see at bakeries. But like I said, these are such a simple and quick treat. I mean, not the fastest recipe in the world, but avoiding those rising times really makes this worth it. Let's get to the taste test.
I have to apologize, but no vanilla milk today. This is plenty of calories. I mean, I consider myself an apple fritter connoisseur, but it just seems like all the places I go, they make them as big as my head, and I want to enjoy other donuts at the same time, so I prefer to make them smaller. Just a really simple, easy treat that doesn't require any rising time or yeast. It does require deep frying, but I'm super comfortable with that at my house, and I feel like if you practice it enough, you would be too. But let's see what this tastes like. Cheers. Super airy and tender inside, just what you want. Yeah, I really think you can go too big with the apple pieces, so small is the way to go in my opinion, but I do think Granny Smith is the perfect apple for this application. really any baking application. It's just that tart bite is a break between all the other sweetness in the dessert. Also, the tiny bit of lemon in the glaze makes a huge difference, as I've stated in all my videos where I make a glaze. This is great, just a really fun weekend breakfast treat that is realistic. You know, like cinnamon rolls or donuts, you have to proof them and let them rise, so it's really not worth making unless you do it the night before. But this is something you can whip up in the same amount of time as something like pancakes. So if you enjoy apple fritters, let me know. I hope you enjoyed this simple video. Thank you all for watching, be blessed, and I'll see you next time. I guess I have to consume all these today to keep the doctor away.